Hello, and welcome to this heavily modded career playthrough of Kerbal Space Program. I'm MFollet, and you can normally find me messing about on Twitch under the tagline Minecraft, Music and More, so why am I now popping up on YouTube? Well, Minecraft's pretty explanatory. Music, well, I compose live on stream, and more, well, that's what you're watching now. This is a new venture, and I hope you'll stay with me as I fail spectacularly to make any headway at all on sending Kerbals all over the expanded Kerbal system. Yes, we have Outer Planets mod in this playthrough. The full mod list is down in the description, and when I start having proper missions launching, there'll also be a full mission log in time. I'm playing on version 1.8.1 of KSP, as that's where most of the mods I'm using are most stable, fingers crossed. Opium especially is not available after 1.8.1 as yet, and so I'm hanging back a couple of versions. If in future things get updated and everything works in the latest version, I'll look at moving across, but for now, I'll be staying on 1.8.1. So let's get the game set up. Kerbal Kolonisation project, we already have our flag selected. So we're going to not be able to revert, we're not going to have missing crew respawn. We'll allow quick loading just in case. We do have crash, which will mean that we can simulate things. We'll turn the comnet off, and we're going to make sure that we have to buy everything as well. We'll allow the other launch sites, because why not have the other launch sites? Make sure that the Kerbals level up immediately. That seems to make a bit more sense. We'll always allow the action groups. And now in all the mods, this should be more or less as we want it. Deep freeze, we want the electric charge to be needed. Yes, let's have that on. We'll hide all the empty nodes. We'll hide unresearchable nodes as well. Move all the space. That's all fine. Crash, we can leave as it is. Research bodies, so we have to discover everything. We want this slightly more tricky. So we're going to just have the Sun, Kerbin, the Moon, and Mimus. We'll make the observatory available from the beginning. Stage recovery, just leave it well alone. Leave it as it is. Space technology is fine. Toolbar control is fine. That's all there. So those are our settings. Let's start the game, and I'll see you at the launch site. So here we are, the Kerbal Space Center. We have remote tech installed. We have a whole host of mods. Everything for remote tech will be absolutely fine, and we have our welcome message from Gene Kerman. So, first things first. Brand new career save, go into mission control, see what contracts we need to pick up. So here we are in mission control, and we have a couple of things we can pick up to do. We've actually got quite a lot of mods available as well, which are adding things to the contracts. We've got bases and stations of all sorts of things. Exploration, which is what we're in the middle of doing. Grand tour missions, so we can go all over the place. Remote tech, research bodies, which will allow us to discover the planets, because we don't actually know what's there yet. Scansat, so we'll have to scan everything, ultimately. Strategia, which will give us all sorts of contracts to help with the modded strategies that we've got. And indeed, Tourism Plus, basically take people all over the place on sightseeing tours. But we do have things available. We can take 2 contracts at the moment at this lowest level, so we need to gather scientific data, so we will say yes to that, and we'll say yes to launching our first vessel. We'll probably get that actually launched, haven't we, to do that, but we can easily do that. Accept that. So let's go back and start building stuff. Okay, so our first visit to the VAB, to the Tier 1 VAB. The only control pod we have at the moment is just this Jebediah Stay Putnik probe. which will do. It will do. We've got 2 contracts going, haven't we, at the moment? So we need to launch the vessel, and we need to basically recover or transmit any science. So because we have remote tech, we have to make sure that everything has transmit capabilities. So we put that antenna on, and then we're looking for science experiments. Well, we only have the 2 heart thermometer at the moment, so we'll stick that on, and just to make sure it has power, we'll give it a battery. This for the moment is literally just going to sit there, because this will do the first one, and then we'll actually launch something and sacrifice it to get the second one sorted. But that will do. That will give us at least a bit of science data. Not going to bother naming it. Let's just stick it on the launch pad. Okay, so here we are then on the launch pad. Let's our silly little thing. It's not going anywhere, but it will grab us some science. We do have a mod, science alert re-alerted, which will tell us what we can do. We can do a temperature scan for 2.4 science, so we'll keep that. That's more or less all we can do. So we'll recover that vessel. Okay, so we've completed that contract, recovered that vessel. That's got us 2.4 science. We've now got a total of 4 science, and indeed we've got our parts back. So we're now at 42,119 funds, and indeed if we check the contract, yes, we completed it. So let's have a look at the other one. To do the other one, we actually need to launch something, so we need to go back into the VAB. Okay, so we're back in the VAB with our little machine that we've just done. What we need to do really is, can we take the thermometer? Yes, we'll take the thermometer, because we do have this silly little booster. This is going to be horrible, and actually we'll put the battery back on, because you never know, we might have enough power to get that going. So let's see what this can do. This is, we're aiming at fulfilling this second contract. Launch your first vessel. So we'll see how that goes. See you on the launch pad. Right then. Best of luck, little rocket. We don't have any SAS on this probe, so all we can do is basically press go and see where it ends up. Let's make sure we've got our science set ready so we can actually do it quickly. I'm going to have to transmit this. Let's just see what we get then. 3, 2, 1, go. Do the temperature scan, transmit it back, because that's in the air. Transmitted successfully. Hopefully. This is not going to survive. It's spinning lovely. We nearly hit a kilometre high as well. Going to go a fair distance sideways. And we come for a crash. Bang. As the game catches up, there we get the explosion. So, we do actually have a little bit of debris surviving. Wow. The booster itself survived. Look at that. Look at that, the booster survived. How nice. Fine. Let's go back to the Space Center. So after that first launch, we have 13 science, 87,500 in funds, a little bit of reputation, and actually we can recover that. Just so we tidy everything up. We now also have no contracts at all. So let's go and have a look at the research and development facility, shall we, and see what we can do, if anything at the moment. As I say, we have 13 science. So we can actually, because we've got 13, we can get both of these, and this will give us an extra experiment that we can use. So yes, we'll research all of that. And it starts to open up all sorts of things. But one of the things we really need to do is get hold of all of the science around the KSC, because there is quite a lot of it, and that will really help to open up this tech tree, which goes on and on and on. We have a huge number of mods, so we are going to have to find quite a lot of science. So we'll research the whatever this is, aeronautics as well. We don't necessarily need wings at the moment. Those 3 sites will probably come in handy for something else a little bit later on. So we'll make sure that we've got those 2, which we have. We will need to purchase the parts, of course. So let's go and see if we can sort out a buggy to get around the Space Centre and get all the science we can. Okay, so I've already purchased the various parts we need to build our little buggy to be able to get out and about around the Space Centre. So we've got our cockpit and some fuel. We're going to need just a basic jet engine, and that of course will also need basic intake, so we'll make sure we've got that. Let's put our wheels on. So the fixed landing gear, of which we'll want 2, will we not? One either side back here. And one at the front to be able to steer. So yeah, this is a tricycle. But it'll work. It's got very splayed legs though. So let's make sure we straighten these up. And probably going to have to move them down a bit. That sort of looks right, doesn't it? Now the door is here, so let's have a look at our science. We need to buy the Presmat barometer, so let's buy it and stick one there, and we can take the thermometer as well. Put that there. So when we take our Kerbal outside, we've got 2 of everything. We don't want 2 of everything. Take them off again. Take them off again. Make sure we only get 1. So we need 1 of those there. I'll put the Presmat barometer the other side, so our Kerbal can get out and grab the data, so we end up being able to redo it everywhere. But that should do. We should get quite a lot of science from that. Let's see who we've got in the way of crew. Well, of course, let's take Jebediah and let's have him in that uniform. Why not? There's probably all sorts of reasons why not, to be perfectly honest. Why would you take Jeb? Never mind. Let's see how we get on. Okay, so here we are with a very excited Jebediah Kerman on the runway. Let's, before we do anything else, let's just make sure that we've got all our science thing available. Deploy all except EVA. So that gives us a pressure scan, which we'll keep because we can recover everything. A temperature scan. Temperature readings are quite literally nominal. And a crew report from the runway. Good thing there's not a lot of air traffic, because I don't think we ever got clearance from the tower to be here. Well, we're here. We're here. Let's do the EVA as well. Get him out. And make sure that we get the report. No, we probably didn't need a spacesuit. Let's just move down a bit. Don't fall. For some reason, it wants to keep moving rather than just sit there. Take data, yes. Get back in, please. Can we... Well, this is not going to plan, is it? Jebediah, please. Jebediah. Jump and grab. Jump and grab, just about. Climb, 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 climb out. No, I want you to get back in. Why don't you get back in? Well, Jebediah, you are completely and utterly useless. You do realise that, don't you? Well, let's recover him. Well, we managed to get 13.4 science by recovering Jebediah. We've got him back. He's gained some XP. Maybe that will help him stay on the ladder. He's also got a ribbon for researching 10 or more science points. We also need to recover the actual thing. That's given us another 1.5. So, let's try that again, shall we? I'll meet you back on the runway, and we'll see if we can manage to get some more science. Okay, so here we are back on the runway with Valentina this time, clearly the superior pilot. We've got everything we could possibly get from here, so let's throttle that down and activate the engines, take brakes off, and we'll slowly go coasting down the runway and head off into the areas of the KSC and start picking up science. It's going to be slightly annoying if you can't get the pilots back in again once you get them out. With any luck, that won't happen again. Might be able to go just a little bit quicker down the runway. This is actually nice and stable. $10 meters per second. I don't know that I dare go much faster than that, to be perfectly honest. 11. No. Put the brakes on, slow it down ever so slightly because we're coming up to our first building. We'll see if we can go clockwise round. We won't bother with the launch pad, that's nice and easy to do. We can just put the probe back together and stick it back out on the launch pad to get the extra science that we haven't got. And here we are at this location, which I'm assuming is the spaceplane hangar. So let's deploy all except the EVA. Yes, pressure scan from the SPH, take that. And the temperature scan. And the crew report. Good. Now, let's this is why we allowed quick saves. Let's have a quick save and EVA her. Deploy that, grab the EVA, take the data from that, take the data from that, take all the data from that as well, store everything and get back in. That should work. Now we can move off and head for wherever we shall go next. So this is essentially going to be just doing that all the way around. How much power have we got? We're fine on power. Is this actually giving us power? Yes, it is giving us a little bit of power. Not much, but it's some. All we've got to do now is make sure we don't actually crash. Which is not necessarily a given. I am rusty, very rusty at playing KSP. It's a long time since I did any of this. Oh, so here we are, new biome. Pause. Actually switch the brakes on. Deploy all. Take everything and yeah, do the EVA report. Take the data from that. Take the data from that. Yes. Take all that data, store everything, get back in. We should end up with quite a lot of science. So that's mission control. Next is probably the VAB. Of course, we ought to do the crawl away as well, which might be a little bit more tricky. So we are VAB. Come to a stop. All except EVA. So pressure scan, temperature scan, crew report. It's the only three we can do. It's EVA. Do the EVA report. Keep that. Take that. Take that. Take all the data out of there and store everything and get back in. The science dance. Well, I seem to remember somebody referred to it as. Yes, thank you, Valentina. There is somewhere a KSC biome as well. Now, is this going to be the crawl away up here? Possibly not. This is all still VAB, isn't it? Let's not worry about the crawl away for now, because that's a tricky one to get off with something like this that we can't actually go backwards with. So over here to the tracking station. The observatory over there counts as mission control. So, let's see, this is probably the... But this is KSC, this little triangle. Okay, take that. Take that. Take all the data, store all 16 experiments now. And get back in. So we need to get to tracking station, and then we need to go around there and do R&D, the administration building, the astronaut complex. You can also do the flagpole, and there's a lot of little mini biomes as well. So we go, tracking station, yes, grab everything. That's EVA Valentina. Take that, take that, do the EVA report, take everything, store experiments. We've now got 20 experiments, good God. The plan is for this series to get a little bit more exciting, but to begin with, it is sort of grabbing everything. Getting everything so you can do all the exciting things later on. As you can see by the right hand side of the screen, we've got quite a large number of mods here. I think the current total is about 80-ish. So into R&D somewhere. Somewhere here is R&D. There we go. That sounds promising. Let's put the brakes on. Come to a stop. So atmosphere, temperature, crew report. Then we need to get her out to take the data from that, and indeed take the data out of that. EVA report again, and take everything and store the lot. Get back in. So, the science gathering dance It's a little bit more complicated in space. But this will give us plenty of science to be getting on with. We've also actually got a number, if we hide the... We've also got a number of messages, so we've actually got world firsts happening as well. So let's just come to a stop here at the administration building. We'll just check what we've got here. So we've gathered scientific data from Kerbal. And again, so that's the completion of the contract. We've also got a number of world firsts here. That's for managing to do quite a lot of stuff actually. Altitude record of 500 metres. All that gives you science as well as funds and reputation, which is all very, very helpful, all moving us forward. So pressure scan, temperature scan, crew report, all of these are rather similar. Let's take all the data out of that as well actually in a moment. Take that. I'm just need to take data from the barometer. Did we do the EVA report? No, we didn't. We will do now. Get back in. So we've just got one more place to go. The actual administration building, because here we are at the astronauts complex. Come on. Noble Valentina Kerbal, much more useful than Jebediah. At least in this silly little vehicle. Never mind, don't knock it, it works. And there we go, we'll just deploy everything there. Do the EVA, keep that, take the data from that. We actually don't need to do this here because this is our last stop on this little voyage of discovery. Get back in. That should be more or less it. I think we've been everywhere except up here onto the crawlaway. As I say, I'm not too worried about that. That's a difficult one to get off with a vehicle that only goes forward. So let's shut down the engine because it's noisy because of anything else, and let's see what we've ended up with. Well, would you look at that? 79.2 science earned from all those experiments. 97 science we now have, and we've recovered 5,027 funds, which is very, very nice. Valentina is now ready for her next assignment, and she's got 2 now ribbons, Research 2, which is 50 or more science points, and a Service EVA, awarded for taking footsteps on Kerbal. Funny thing to get a ribbon for when they're all supposed to be here anyway. But let's just go into Research and Development and see what else we can grab. So what would be the best things to have now we've got nearly 100 science to buy? Well, probably a few things to help with rockets, things like decouplers and a tiny little Cogswell engine. So let's just complete that. So we've got all of that, and actually while we're here we might as well just say yes, we'll get all the stupid cheap ones as well, all the various structures and wing parts. That will allow us to do some flying at some point. Survivability, parachutes, always helpful. Let's grab that, and probably grab gadgets as well, because that contains the mystery goo canister. So that's 18 from that, and 18 for that. Remember, all these parts we've also got to buy as well. More decouplers, command seat, probe core with, I believe, yes, that has SAS on it. which means we can actually control rockets. So we best take that as well. Enhanced survivability we can't do. Basic science, all of that now is too expensive. That's where we get things like the magnetometer boom. And actually our first scanning system, as well as the Science Junior. Gizmos, which also we can't have, but that's solar panels, capacitors, radiator panels, lights, higher power antenna, early aviation. That gives us all sorts of things. Helicopter blades. Helicopter blades? Okay. Didn't realise we got helicopter blades. Basic construction, better fuel tanks, landing legs, stability enhancers, launch clamps, that is. Better wheels, other fuel tanks. So yeah, we'll take that as well. I think that gets us everywhere else. Structures medium we can also have because it's just one. That's all sorts of panels and things. So we'll grab that. General rocketry we now can't afford, but that will be coming up quite soon. But for now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.